Hello, everyone. My name is Carly Savello, and I'm a talking person. Today, I am joined by a writer. She's a cozy business coach and chronic illness advocate. Welcome to the podcast, Randi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm great today.
I am so excited to have you on. I know there's a few different things you want to talk about. I know you have your
Yeah,
own blog. I would love for you to talk about that. But yeah, I think this is going to
yeah,
be like the chronic illness podcast.
amazing. I'm so excited. This would be the first podcast I have been on for somebody else, so I'm very excited. I'm sort of working on starting my own, but I'm also sort of doing like a billion things at the same time. So everything's kind of happening at a slow pace, which is kind of the cozy life. So that works out really well.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? So,
Yeah.
you're a chronic illness advocate, but you are very much an advocate for coziness and kind of like
Yeah.
slowing down. And I would love to hear more about that and kind of, I hate to say your brand. It's not your brand, but like
Like
it,
it
it
is,
kind of is.
but
It's
it
like your
isn't. It is
persona,
like
this like coziness.
yeah, it's like how when people say like oh, you're making your chronic illness your whole life. Like, yeah, actually I kind of am. I am making it my whole life. It's my business, it affects everything, so it kind of is.
Yeah.
So Chronically Cozy is a newer brand that I've been working on for a little while. I've been an entrepreneur for about 8 years now. I started my own business 8 years ago as a virtual personal trainer. Loved doing it. It was amazing. I found a lot of things about building a business and working for myself that I just loved so much. And the way it worked for me, for my chronic illness and for my neurodivergent brain, made such a big difference in my life that I was like, this is all I can ever do now. The idea of working any kind of traditional job at this point is just, it makes it makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Um,
Yuck.
yeah, right. I can't do that anymore. Um, my brain just doesn't function in normal workspaces. I need to be on my own time schedule. And kind of recently, I started kind of working to be a freelance writer and content strategist and doing kind of that like one-on-one services kind of thing. And as I started doing that, I found so many more people who fell into that chronically ill and neurodivergent category that are also doing the same thing. And one thing that's been a big part of my journey is just like figuring out how to adapt everything to my own needs. Adaptions and like modifications to things have been like a big part of everything that I've done from personal training to like doing business stuff now.
Mhm.
So I started the blog Chronically Cozy. I was writing about life and home and everything in between, cozy hobbies, all of those kind of things. And then I was also writing about work stuff a little bit, and I kind of found more of that was what I liked talking about and stuff. So yeah, like marketing and the building of a business and how to put yourself out there and how to adapt these systems to yourself and to your body and your life has kind of become a passion of mine over the time. And now I am launching the Chronically Cozy Creators Club, which I'm hoping to be half support group, half resources for chronically ill and neurodivergent entrepreneurs to help them build their business in a way that actually fits for them.
That's amazing. And yeah, you say kind of like you found a lot of people who have chronic illness also are neurodivergent, and then a lot of us end up working from home or working for
Mhm.
ourselves or being
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. And I think that Venn diagram being like closer to a circle makes a lot of sense just
Yeah, right.
because yeah, seriously, just because we need to make modifications in our life more
Mhm.
than say someone who's neurotypical, someone who doesn't have chronic
Yeah.
illness, of course, or any type of disability. And it makes a lot of sense. Like I have a more traditional, like 9 to 5-ish job, I'd say, but I get to work remotely.
Mhm.
I do not take for granted, but I think it's something that if I had to be in an office, I probably would not be in the industry I'm in. It just
Yeah.
would not be feasible for me. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
I looked into some jobs like as a writer where I would end up like in an office and I just like couldn't fathom trying to write in a space with other people and
Mhm.
noise and people being able to stop by. And
Yeah.
I mean, for me, my ADHD is a big part of like how I have to do, like figure out everything. And for the longest time, I was really fighting it. And this was kind of my biggest struggle. And I was really trying to do things the way that like neurotypical people would do and trying to like fit into that traditional workplace style. And it just
Mhm.
like everything felt like I was like butting up against a wall. And so more recently, I've just started letting the ADHD carry me away and flow. And if I had to follow somebody else's like outline and schedule now, there's just no way. My brain would fight it entirely.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing for us is just like making our own schedules. And yeah, I think the corporate world
Mhm.
was not built for us. I think that a lot of jobs weren't. And a lot of people also think that remote work just became a thing in 2020, just when the pandemic
Yeah.
started. And remote work has existed forever. I mean, yeah, I think one thing that the pandemic did was show us that more jobs can be remote and that we can have
Mhm.
more agency over our lives and our setup. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think remote work, I rarely see it talked about this, but it's truly a disability accommodation.
it is.
Um, I'm someone with chronic illness who's disabled as well, and I think that yeah, just remote work has been amazing for me. I think also, especially in the corporate world, like, and if you're your own business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you end up working more when you're at home or working for yourself than you would at a nine to
Yeah.
five. So I've seen a lot of stuff. At the beginning of the pandemic too, a lot of people were like, I know extroverts, and a lot of C-suite people were like, we need to be back in the office, we need interaction, and that's just not how everyone's brain works. And what a
No.
beautiful thing it would be for everybody to just be able to make their own work set up and
Yeah.
be hybrid if you want to, be at home if you want to. But yeah, when I work from home, I end up giving people more hours than if I would be in the office. And so I remember there was an argument early on that like people who are remote aren't working as much. And it's like I have Teams on my phone. You are getting me plugged in
Yeah.
whenever you need me. And that would just not be the case in an office. So
Yeah, absolutely. I love being able to take breaks whenever I need to. Like that's another thing that you
yeah.
just can't get. Like if I couldn't get up and walk away from my desk whenever I need to like reset my brain or just think about a thing or just stretch my body a little bit. Like one of my big problems is, and this is a big problem for like any kind of job, is that I can't stay in one position for too long. Like I can't sit for too long. I can't stand for too long. It's really difficult for me. So like if I couldn't just get up and move around at any time, like that would be so difficult. And I'd really love and like something that I'm hoping to see develop more from doing this, or maybe find more. Maybe there is more out there that I haven't found yet. But I want to see more supports for people in our positions, people who are trying to take on remote work and find jobs that can accommodate them and find or creating jobs or creating positions that can accommodate them because it's something that we need. It's not just because we want to. It's not just because we're creative. I mean, like, my gosh, the creativeness in this community is
Yeah.
mind blowing, 100%. But it's not just because we want to be creative that we're building these things. We're building these things because we need to accommodate a lot of different issues in a way that fits for
Mhm.
us.
We end up being problem solvers, which I think is how a lot of
Hugely.
us get creative. We have to have that creative thinking
Yeah.
to make accommodations for ourselves because oftentimes we are the ones making accommodations and
Yeah.
kind of adjusting our own schedules to help meet the needs of other people. And so I think that's definitely part of the reason why we end
Yeah.
up being quite creative people.
And like as entrepreneurs, we wear so many different hats. And I mean, while I'm very good at doing the creative writing and stuff like that, I'm not always necessarily great at all of the like admin tasks and stuff like that. Um, I'm really good at creating plans and stuff, but I'm not always good at following every step of the follow through. So there needs to be resources and tools out there that can help accommodate us in so many different ways. And I know so many different people who they struggle in all different points of it. So having more out
Yeah.
there is just going to benefit us.
Yeah. I would love to hear more about um you kind of mentioned this intersection between being neurodivergent, being creative, having your own business. You kind of embody this kind of like cozy brand and
Mhm.
what I mean, I want to hear more about your what is it, Chronically Cozy Creator Group.
Yeah.
A
So
lot of
so the
C's.
cozy, yeah. I don't know why, but I love alliteration. I do. I just something about it, it just makes me happy. And I find that like whenever I'm trying to like find a name for a product or a service, like that's instantly where my brain goes, is
Mhm.
some kind of alliteration. Can't
You were on
stop
the
it. It
podcast
won't
with
stop it.
you were on the podcast with the tagline creativity, culture, and current events. So
Yeah,
we do
right?
appreciate
So it
alliteration
just
here.
it works. It sounds good. It rolls off the tongue. Yes. So the cozy side of things came from just this like 100% at all the times when asked what like I value most, it's comfort. Comfort, peace, the ability to be able to be relaxed because it's something that as a hypermobile person and as a person with ADHD and autism, I don't find very easily. So I have to really be intentional about my environment and how I'm setting up my systems and slowing myself down, especially. Slowing myself down is not something I'm always necessarily good at, but it's something I always am endeavoring to do. And just taking that like cozy, slow approach to life, because when we're rushing too much and trying to like race to the end of something, um, you're always ending up neglecting yourself and your health, and it ends up being more to your detriment, I find. So that's kind of where like that cozy side of things came from. The Cozy Creators Club has kind of come from just wanting to bring um bring these people together. So a little while ago, like this Cozy Creators Club part has been developing more just recently. A little while ago, I put up a post. I have started building a directory on my website for businesses run by people with chronic illness and neurodivergent brains, so that we can find each other when we want some help and services. So I've got different business services, health services, um, products, and I'm working on adding some different categories as well. I really want to have a section of neurodivergent and chronically ill authors and their books, different things like that. I think it'll be an amazing resource, and then it makes it a little bit easier to support each other. Um, but when I posted about this, I think I'm up to like something like 480 comments on this Threads post, just replies from all of these different creators. And that's where I started to feel like I really needed to turn it into like a support group, club-like setting. So I also have a Discord group. It's free to join. It's just a place where we can connect and talk to each other and have conversations about what we're doing in the moment. Somebody recently was asking about like social media and like what to do about your social media while you're dealing with grief. And I thought that that was such a beautiful thing um, that I could give them a place to have that conversation in a safe place with other people that understood that sometimes, like, you know, when something like grief or other kind of issues come up, like, we really do have to take a step back from our business. And everybody was encouraging them to take a step back and practice self-care and practice in a way that, like, really honors their needs. And, like, we need more of that. I worked with so many coaches and other creators while I was building my first business that just didn't get it. Like they were really pushing the very traditional marketing, like, you know, jumping in the DMs, always pushing, always launching.
Mm,
And it's just not. It's just not the
It
fit for
doesn't
us.
work for
It
everyone.
just
It
doesn't.
doesn't
It
work for
doesn't work for everyone.
everyone.
And it
Yeah.
just especially doesn't work for neurodivergent people and chronically ill people. We need that slower, cozier. I like the cozy vibe of it too. I'm very much like surrounded by blankets and pillows all the time. I work from
That
bed
is
most of the time.
yeah. That is very much I'm not in that neck of the woods on Instagram, but I know that is very much not the I don't know if it's like
Oh
kind of
my
like a
gosh, the like whole
subgenre.
cozy
It's
corner of Instagram and the like
there is
desk
yeah.
setups. I don't have the
Mhm.
fancy desk setup. I share my office with my husband, so most of it's his stuff in here. Um, but oh, I love the like cozy setups and the like cozy feel of having.
That's what I was gonna say is that there's like there is a corner of Instagram that is I know some people do ASMR too with setups, but it's like the slow walk on camera, the sitting in a chair, the
Yeah,
like enjoying a cup of tea, having a blanket. People will do like it's almost like the equivalent. There's like the restocking my fridge videos. It's almost like the
yeah.
cozy equivalent of that, like getting your cozy set up and like
The game
your little
setups
mug
too.
warmer and yeah the game setups too. I'm a big
Yes.
fan of the gaming setups. I love seeing how people are doing office design. I was gonna say, as you can see, office design.
Yeah.
um I very much enjoy like bright colors and bringing that kind of creativity into my space.
Bringing some kind of like cozy color and creativity into my space. Like I've got this covered right now, but like so I've
Mhm,
got a nice like pink gaming chair. Um a while ago it was kind of part of my unmasking process. Like if anything, like realizing that like my space in my home didn't need to look professional. It didn't need to like
mhm,
look one certain way to like make me look like I am a real entrepreneur or professional. So when I needed to like replace a few things, I ended up getting things that like were fun colors and matching. And I
mhm.
was so excited to invest in like a second screen. And like everyone was like, oh my gosh, you'll get so much work done. And I'm like, no, that one's for games, actually. Games and or cozy movies to play while I'm working, which is another one of those accommodations that like I can't get in a traditional workplace. I actually love to have like
Yeah.
a TV show on, cozy comfort show, something I've watched a billion times that like I know off by heart. To have that
Mhm.
on while I'm working makes me 100% more productive because it
I
takes
think that
part
is
of the
that
attention.
is a thing.
It
I
is.
feel like someone should do a study on that if they haven't already, but
I feel
I
like
feel
maybe they have.
similarly in that my brain is kind of always moving. So if I'm focusing on
Mhm.
a task, as long as I'm not writing doing that task, I enjoy listening to like
Yeah.
having a TV on or having music or like listening to a podcast. I do that a lot at
Yeah.
work. Because the work I do is a lot of design. And so you know, while I'm doing my pixel pushing, I'm
Yeah.
frequently listening to a podcast or just something to kind of like have some noise going
I always
on.
feels like, there's just too many things that my brain wants to pay attention to, and it just like one part of the brain just needs something else to take that
Mhm.
attention. So like a TV
Yeah,
show or something is
exactly.
usually just perfect. I remember arguing with my parents so much about wanting to have the television on while I was doing homework. And they were like, there's no way you can concentrate while the TV is on. I'm like, but actually. And more recently, I have like connected with other neurodivergent entrepreneurs that are like, yeah, same. I have to have something on. There has to be like a
Yeah.
podcast or something where they're talking. Like even just music was like not enough distraction. There needed to be something more.
Yeah, but it's very much like at least for me, there's a big difference between that and like I could not get work done in a cafe. For me,
Yeah,
it's like unexpected noises I can't do. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. They're like, well, you can listen to TV while you work. Why can't you like
yeah,
go out to like a club or something or like a busy restaurant
yeah.
or like anywhere
Like
with a
I'm
crowd?
not
And it's like,
watching a
yeah,
news show. I'm not watching something exciting that like I've never seen before. It's always something that's
yeah,
on the repeat list and constantly being rewatched, but it's just
yeah,
enough.
yeah. But
But
I
no,
think
I'm not
people sometimes,
good in cafes either. I can't do that.
yeah, it's I can't do the I think it's just the unexpected noise in going out.
Yeah.
If it's like a TV or a podcast, I control the volume. It is, you know, kind of Yeah, it's within my control. I think a lot of people might not understand that
Yeah.
like noise is okay.
Yeah.
Um, it's that like overstimulation of going out into the
Yeah.
world, and it's the unexpected noise that I think at least gets me.
I think there's also like a lot of little things that people don't realize that are really important, like having, your bathroom close by. I know a lot of people, especially with chronic illness, have a lot of bathroom anxiety and issues around that. Having my own bathroom close by puts me at ease, takes so much stress away. Like I can't work out in a cafe because then I have to like pack all my stuff up and I have to find their bathroom and have to and lighting is another thing too.
Mhm.
Lighting and sound are big things for me, like sensory issues. So being able to be in control of that in my space, huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that too. And I think that's something in a lot of traditional office spaces. We see a lot of like that fluorescent, very aggressive lighting and bathrooms that are loud. We get
Yeah.
bad acoustics in buildings
Mhm.
too. Um, Workspaces aren't designed to feel cozy. And I
Yeah.
think that, I mean, at least I know for me, I do my best work in my own space, and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I feel very lucky I got into the working world. Um, at least like the corporate working world after the pandemic had started.
Yeah.
So
Fingers crossed I can make the Creators Club work and I can find clients who want me to write their blogs and emails for
yeah.
them. And entrepreneurs that want coaching, that's the hope. That's my goal. And then I get to just do the things that I want and love all day. And that's the dream. That'd be the dream.
Yeah. How did you get into the to content writing and kind of
So
being a
when I started
coach?
my first business, I mean, looking into like how to market my business and everything, I found blogging and I've always liked writing. I write fiction as well. I write for fun and professionally. So I've just kind of always loved writing and I always loved the way that blogs can give more and connect more. Like I never really loved the way that like social media just gives you like a little bite of something. And so if people are only creating like social media posts, you never really learn much about them or how they function or how their business is running. So especially like so when I was doing my personal training, I was an intuitive movement coach, which is something I mean, took from other things, sort of made up by myself. It was something that wasn't like a mainstream thing, so I really had to explain it. And so blogging was the best way for me to put that out there and actually like explain it in a way that was coherent. Um, versus like those like little posts and stuff that could only get a little bit out. So that's when I started blogging and I just always loved it. I loved writing blogs. I loved doing the research and the writing on different educational facts. I loved writing about health and wellness and stuff like that. Um, so as I was giving up coaching because personal training wasn't my thing anymore. The ADHD had decided it needed to do something different. Also, I couldn't keep up coaching and doing the physical stuff with my clients anymore, which was a bummer. Um, I had to find something else that I wanted to do, and I was like, you know what, writing is the thing that I've kind of always like thought I could do. Um, when I was younger and going into finding a career. I had thought about doing either writing or something in like graphic design. And I was led to believe that I was either not good enough at either that I could do it, or that either would pay very well. Because when I first started, they weren't huge things that would be needed. Of course, what I didn't know was that like all of these things were going to be super beneficial skills later in life, and that if I had gotten into graphic design or something like that, I would have been way ahead of the curve now. Um, so I always kind of regretted not doing that before. So when I had to make some kind of pivot, I had to do something different. I was like, writing. I want to write. I love writing. And then it kind of just rolled into also doing content strategy because putting together the plan, the lists, the everything. I love planning other people's content. I hate planning my own. I hate marketing myself and planning. my own content, but I love coming up with plans and marketing other people's stuff. And so, yeah, it kind of just it fit. It felt right. It felt like the thing I needed to try doing.
Yeah. And yeah, it seems like you'd already had the skills there and you just kind of put it all together.
Yeah, and like 90% self-taught. I had to figure everything out myself when I started my own business. I went to school as a therapist assistant and personal trainer, so I knew fitness and health, but I had no idea what I was doing when I started business. So I had to figure all of that out myself, and I was just looking for a way to market my business and fell into writing.
It's amazing.
Yeah, kind of just all worked out. It's one of those things where I mean, a lot of people say like, "Oh, like without my chronic illness, like where would I be?" Like, I would love to see where I'd be without my chronic illness. I bet I would be doing something way more fun and exciting. But also, like because of my chronic illness, it has led me into something that is a very good fit for my personality and something that I really am passionate about and love doing. So, I guess it was all meant to be. I guess the universe knew
Yeah.
what it was doing.
Yeah, we each have our purpose and we
Hmm.
wouldn't be us without, you
Exactly.
know, our disabilities, our chronic illnesses, our
Yeah.
identities. And I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. We've talked a lot about the entrepreneurship and,
Mm.
owning a business and working as someone who has chronic illness. Do you want to talk a little bit about kind of your journey to get here? Like, as far as
Yeah.
I've talked a little bit about other people who are autistic on the podcast about kind of their diagnosis journey. And, it's not linear for anybody. I mean, for some people it is. But I think, especially if you are a woman, I think like we're a lot less likely to get diagnosed,
Mhm.
especially in healthcare spaces. So I would love to hear a little bit about that if you're comfortable sharing.
So my main condition that I have is generalized hypermobility. A lot of people know it as hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome shifts a little bit more into also having autoimmune issues, which I don't have so much of. Knock on wood, that stays a thing. Um, when I was in my like early 20s, like I was never an active kid. I was always hurting myself a little bit easier, but like there was never like anything obviously wrong with me physically, like so much that anybody would notice. In my early 20s, though, I started having a lot of problems with my joints. Like I would have like my hip joints would just shift out of place, and then it would be my neck joints. And it's hypermobility is a multi-system issue. And so it kept hitting all of these different things at different times because it was just starting to kind of like develop and become a problem. And so for a good while, like several years, there I didn't really have like a connection between them. It was just like, oh, well, right now my wrist hurts, now my hip hurts, now I'm getting these headaches, like all of these different things. And I would go to massage therapists or physiotherapists to help with them. They were just kind of like, oh. So finally, one day I went to one physiotherapist and I was so frustrated. And he was like so nonchalant about everything. And I was just like, oh my God, just like all of these things. Like right now it's my hips. And then it was this. And I told him it was all of the things. And he was like, oh. And he like checked and he checked my joints and he did like a few tests and he had me like, reach down, touch my toes, bend my legs. And he's like, oh, you're hypermobile. I'm just, oh, like, what do you mean I'm hypermobile? Like, I've never heard this word before. I didn't know what he was talking about. He was just like, you're hypermobile. I'm like, okay, so you're saying that like it answers a lot of questions, but it really doesn't. And so I kind of had to like run with that and like a lot of people think of hypermobility as a very rare disorder, but it's really not. Like, it just take a few minutes in the chronically ill community, and you'll find out that like there's a good chunk of us that have some level of hypermobility to some extent. Mine qualifies as symptomatic hypermobility in the spectrum of it all. So I pretty much had to take that and go start learning it myself. Like I started asking doctors about it, and everyone kind of shrugged at me. They didn't really know what I was talking about. They suggested that I was quite possibly just anxious at least 50 times. Had to,
Are you even a human person, woman, if you haven't gone to the doctor and been told that it's just
right,
anxiety or it's just in your
right.
head?
Yeah. So I did the whole thing for a really long time and I was very close to giving up completely on even trying to get a diagnosis. Like I got every stupid statement out of a doctor that you can get, like every classic thing. My favorite was, why do you even need a diagnosis? It's not curable anyways. When they were like, yeah, you probably are hypermobile, but it's not curable, so why do you need a diagnosis? And I'm like, why do I have to explain to the doctors why I need a diagnosis? Like, how important having a diagnosis is to getting treatment. Because, like, sure, it doesn't have a cure per se, but each of the different symptoms do have different ways to help manage them. And since it is a multi-system thing, knowing that I'm hypermobile has led to me finding answers in so many other different ways. Like the fact that I had to explain this to them blew my mind, frustrated me so much. But so recently, I found a doctor who has finally listened, and I told her all the things, and I was like, I think I'm hypermobile, and what I need is to talk to a rheumatologist because other than getting genetic testing, those are the guys that would tell you the things. And she was like, okay. And I was like, for reals? And she's like, yeah, I'll get you referred. And I'm like, for real? Blown away. So finally got that referral. I sat down with this guy. Dude must have just taken a course on how to validate your client's feelings. He sat down with his like computer like this, but looking at me like this. It was so creepy. And he was like typing away as I was telling him all of my symptoms, looking at me. It was so weird. And he was like, I hear you. I understand. Yes, I hear that your pain is real. And I'm like, yeah, for sure it is
Probably
because
because he got a lot of probably because he got a lot of women coming in who had been told that they were
yeah.
hysterical or anxious by other doctors.
Yeah, so I was like, I mean, he was young, so it may have just been like he had just taken one of those courses to like make, and but it was so funny. But he did all the things and his like diagnosing factor as to whether it was symptomatic hypermobility or hypermobile mobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome was shining a light on my fingernails to determine whether I had an autoimmune disorder. Apparently, that was it. That was it. That was all they needed to do to define this. And he said, yes, you are hypermobile. You don't have an autoimmune issue, but the hypermobility is a problem and it is causing these other issues. And I was like, thank gosh, thank you. So great to have a diagnosis. What can we do about it? And then he made kind of a sad face at me and shrugged, and there's not much. Have you tried
Yeah.
exercise? And I was like, yes.
Oh my
I
gosh, have you
have.
tried exercise from a doctor? It's
That was
like
actually like that was the basis of how I became a personal trainer. It was because every one of them kept telling me, "Have you tried exercise?" And realistically, when it comes to hypermobility, the best thing that you can do for yourself is exercise. However, just exercise is not good advice. It's not safe advice for any doctor or any professional to be giving any person with chronic illness ever. And every doctor who's ever said that should have licenses taken away because it leads to injuring themselves and or making things a lot worse. So I left there a little relieved, a little disappointed, but I had an answer. And from that, I was able to determine a bunch of other things. And then I found the fun connection. Did you know that a majority of people who are hypermobile are also neurodivergent to some level? Most likely with ADHD and or autism. So I started exploring that more, which was really exciting. I kind of always knew that I had ADHD. I tried to get tested in high school. I went to the doctor. She gave me a whole bunch of forms. She said, get these filled out by your teachers and people you know. And she gave me a whole bunch of tasks to do, and I entirely forgot about it. So I figured that like solid sign.
classic.
Yeah. Solid sign. I was like, I feel like that confirms some things. I couldn't even manage that. So like probably. So I just kind of didn't go about ever getting like a real diagnosis. I knew it was a problem, but I didn't really like because it wasn't talked about, and especially wasn't talked about for women, I didn't know that they could do anything about it. Like, what are they going to even do? Like, I'm distracted. What? Um, so then more recently, as it did become more popular, and I definitely was one of those people who kind of saw it happen more and more and started recognizing those signs while I was seeing it on social media. um, I started to pick apart some of the things. I was like, okay, so this is ADHD for sure. I've definitely got that. That checks. But also, there seems to be a lot of these other things that are not quite fitting. A lot of these other things that have been problems for me all of my life, like my ability to be social with people and make friends, and my ability to be comfortable in spaces outside of my own and deal with plans changing, things like that. Um, that wasn't ADHD. That was something else. So I started exploring that. I have decided that I'm fairly certain, unless anything major changes, I'm probably not going to go about getting a professional diagnosis, but all the signs are there that I'm definitely ADHD. I took the RADS test, and I think it was like the score out of like 180, I scored 158. And then I started questioning as to whether I was tricking the test and whether, like, because I was masking so hard and I was trying to unmask while taking the test, that maybe I was like feeding it the answers that I thought it wanted. And then it turns out that neurotypical people don't think they're trying to trick an autism test. So I'm running with the diagnosis unconfirmed by doctors at the present moment. I am possibly hoping to get medication for the ADHD to try that out at some point,
Mhm.
but I have some processes I have to go through before I can get to that point. It's just always a long system of trying to get
Yeah.
in with doctors and being on waiting lists. So I would
Yeah.
like to try the medication. I don't know how it's going to go, but
It's definitely valid though. I think that's something, I know
yeah.
that's a discourse online. There are kind of different, I don't, it's not like schools of thought. There are very much two different parties, and I think there's one party of autistic people who think that you absolutely need a diagnosis. You cannot say you're autistic
Hmm.
otherwise. And then there's the other party, and I am of this group, that there are so many barriers to getting a diagnosis. It, it, the main one being financial.
Yes.
It is so expensive to get that diagnosis, and also just like there are incredibly sexist and racist
Yeah.
barriers, as we know in the healthcare system, but like um, also it presents differently. Um,
Yeah.
if you're a woman, man, non-binary person, I've talked about this in a previous podcast. My younger sibling, assigned male at birth, received a diagnosis very young. I did not get one until I think they got theirs when they were, I feel like it was two and a half, three. And
Gotcha.
I didn't get mine until I was in my teens. So, and I've talked about this in the past too. There was a psychologist that was like, I could easily like get an official diagnosis from her. And at the time, I was like, oh, I don't need one. Like, I like
Yeah.
don't. I was like a type A high performing. Um, at
Yeah.
the time, the psychologist had said that they would get me an Asperger's diagnosis, which is no longer that term is no longer used.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. That was at the time. Kind of like what I was deemed. And
Mhm.
looking back now, I wish I had gotten the diagnosis, because of course when I was a teen, I was like, oh, sure, yeah, of course, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't realize
Yeah.
how necessary it can be sometimes to have that official piece of paper that says it.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm all for it
there
now.
are
Like
kind of, yeah,
having that proof now, like especially if you're still in school, solid. Good plan. Definitely if you can get a hold
yeah,
of it, do it. Because if you can get the accommodations that you need to get through
yeah,
schooling, you're going to do better than the rest of us who had to struggle through it. I
yeah,
don't know if in high school, like especially with what they knew of autism in women, especially when I was there, like I graduated in 2005. I don't think they knew enough. Like I think I masked pretty hard. I really figured out like the ways I had to be
Yeah.
when I was in public kind of thing. I always like my biggest struggle was always like with making friends and socializing, and I was just like I was more just seen as like that awkward nerdy kid who liked things that other people didn't like and got obsessed with it and didn't really know how to talk to people about other things. And that at the time was never seen as an autistic trait. That was just you were the quirky like nerdy kid. And like I just grew up thinking I was just a kind of quirky person. Like I'm just a little weird. People just don't always like, get me. And then I just like found this whole community of people that like, oh my gosh, do they ever get me? Like on such a fundamental level because we're all dealing with this thing that we had no idea of, especially for so many of us, like that we had no idea of. And now we're all learning how to process it. And just, I mean, like having self-diagnosis 100% valid in my opinion, because yes, there's so many barriers and getting into like working with chronically ill people and neurodivergent people, like learning about more of the barriers that I didn't even know about. Like there's so many out there that I 100% think that self-diagnosis, it has to be valid because if you don't, you're just eliminating the chance that so many people can get support. Plus,
Yeah.
my saying that I am ADHD doesn't take away from anybody else. Like, I'm not getting any services or anything that, like, I'm not getting any services or anything. Like, I'm not taking away from somebody. I'm
Mhm.
not getting anything. I am learning how to accommodate for myself. So, giving it a label, the only thing it really does is help me connect with other people who've given it a label to find out what they have found to be helpful, which may or may not be helpful for me because we're all so different, and for me
Mhm.
to be able to do a little bit of research online. Like that's all the label really
Yeah.
does. So to
And then there
fight
are the
something,
doctors.
yeah,
There are the doctors who are like, well, why do you need a diagnosis? I had that too
yeah,
when I was looking into getting an official endometriosis diagnosis because I had had like checkbox all of them um,
mhm,
when I went to my doctor, and I love my current doctor, but I had definitely been dismissed by ones in the past. Ones at like urgent care clinics too, who were like, well, like, do you
yeah.
really need it? Like, there's nothing we can really do for it. And it's like, that's not the point. The point is that sometimes when you feel a certain type of pain for so long, you want someone to say, yes, this is what it is. There is something you are feeling.
The
It has a name.
validation.
And that is like all you
Yeah,
need sometimes.
just giving it a name helps so much. Just having something, I mean, like just all the awkward conversations that you end up having with people where you're like, "Oh, well, this hurts." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, like I
Wish I
could
could tell
explain
you.
to you, yeah, I wish I could tell you why." Like, and once I had a diagnosis, I was able to tell them why. I could say it hurts because I am hypermobile, because my joints are struggling to
Mhm.
stay connected to my body. There's still a lot of people in my life that like I still can't fully explain that one to because they're just like, "Oh no, you're not." And they probably will not believe unless I go ahead and get a doctor to approve and stamp it on a piece of paper.
Mhm.
But yeah, just being able to say that to myself and to the few people that will listen to me, like it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah. And I think going back to that, to what we had started talking about like self-diagnosis, I think it's so valid.
So,
I think just considering the financial barrier to getting a diagnosis.
mhm.
I don't know.
And yeah,
You're
especially
on,
for women.
yeah, especially for women. I know it was a couple months ago. There was I had seen it on Threads. There was that huge kind of I don't know. I'm trying to find the word for it. What do you call it? A scandal? Did you see LB Health? Um, there was a medical, putting in air quotes, medical practice. Not really. And I think it was in Canada. Um, and they were charging. They were basically marketing an affordable autism diagnosis
Hmm.
for people in all 50 states. And it came out that it was it was quite a fraudulent practice, and the diagnoses were not able to be used for any accommodations. And
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, I'm
Yeah.
very much paraphrasing here. I was just
It's
wondering
so
if you had seen any
unfortunate
of
how
that.
I didn't see that one, no, but I have seen like I've seen so many different websites like selling access to ADHD and autism tests. And I'm like, no, that's just there are free tests out there that are fully valid and accredited by medical colleges that you can take. And anybody else trying to like bank on that that's not providing you with an actual medical accommodation afterwards. Like it's insane. Like I see them all over the place and so
Yeah, you
sad.
shouldn't. And yeah, that's to say you shouldn't have to pay for a diagnosis.
No.
Period.
No, you shouldn't.
Um,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, medical care shouldn't cost at all. I mean, I live in Canada, so like for the most part, a lot of what I get is free. Um, so-called. My issue becomes more in the actual access of it. We have
Mhm.
just incredibly long wait lists. Turns out when everybody can freely access the medical care, everybody will,
And
and
everybody
then
needs it, and there
and
are longer
everybody needs
lines.
it, and everybody yeah, so there's just now there's lineups for everything. So I think for me to like try to even get in, I did get my like GP to agree that I have ADHD, but I honestly, had I not already taken other tests and done far more studies on it than I think she probably ever has, I wouldn't have accepted her diagnosis on it. But I had already previously done all the education on it, and I was like, okay, so she agrees with me at the very least. Um, but just to try and get in to see a professional to get any kind of like autism diagnosis, I can't even imagine the wait list.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point too, in that like doctors do not know everything.
They
That
don't.
was
Oh my gosh,
something that
I've had to.
yeah,
Yeah,
I had to unlearn that as I started, like,
hugely.
as when I became an adult and had to advocate for myself with a
Mhm.
doctor. I definitely had to learn the hard way that like doctors do not know everything.
Yeah. Learning
I've
that
had
they are
very,
far
very,
from perfect.
yeah, and I've had very bad providers.
Hmm.
I've had bad psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, specialists before who think that they know everything, and they most certainly do not. And I think
Yeah.
one thing, especially in the US healthcare system, you just very much have to advocate for yourself. You do almost always have to go in with an
Hmm.
idea already about what you think you have.
Yeah.
Not to encourage people going on WebMD and like diagnosing
Yeah.
themselves with one symptom, but
And
you do
like
have to
I've
go in
heard,
and kind of know what you're looking for and know what to advocate for.
and sometimes too, you have to go in and like, you have to know the symptoms that you need to present in the right way for them to come up with the idea themselves for the diagnosis. Otherwise, if you just suggest it to them, like the amount of doctors I went in and said, I think I am hypermobile. I would like to find out if this is an actual thing. And they said no, because they just like immediately shut down as soon as I told them that. When I went in and said, I've had this, and this symptom, knowing that these are the symptoms that would trigger them leading to this, then suddenly they had this brilliant idea that maybe, possibly, and they came up with it all by themselves. Like it's
Yeah.
such a like ego like trip. Like you're trying to like play with their egos constantly. And I've heard this from like, oh my gosh, I've talked to so many different people. I put this post out one time. I think it got something like 40,000 views, and it was like I was so excited that my video was doing so well, but then also so sad because all of the comments in it were people telling me about the times that doctors have not believed them, gaslit them, just caused trauma in their life, trying to tell them things that like just didn't exist or things that were wrong. And it's insane. Like the amount of like that is the one thing we all have in common. We have all been gaslit by doctors. Show me a chronically ill person who doesn't have some level of medical trauma. Honestly, I don't want any more diagnoses just because I don't want to have to try and convince another doctor that I'm not just crazy. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't try to convince another doctor that I actually know my own symptoms.
Yeah, we do so much advocating, and there are just, especially being neurodivergent too, like we often don't have the spoons to do
Yeah.
any more advocating. Like I appreciate the flexibility of remote work because I cannot do more than one appointment in a day. I know sometimes people like take a day off work, try to get a few
Yeah.
appointments in, and it's like
Yeah.
I need the day to think about the appointment, do the appointment, and then decompress after the appointment. And
Oh my gosh, and like to
it's just,
deal with having to like explain to another adult human being as to why I need to take another sick day, just can't do it.
yeah,
Just can't do it.
it's rough. But
Rough
yeah,
out there.
I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and speaking about this. I think that especially being in an online chronic illness community, we kind of all have our little bubbles. I know there's one on
Mhm.
Threads, which is how we found each other. There's like
Yeah.
Instagram, there's all these little bubbles, and I think it's really admirable what you're doing and trying to
Thank
create a
you.
space and also a directory for those of us who are also
Yes, I'm
business
so
owners. So
excited about the directory. If anyone wants to
yeah.
apply, I have an application. I do have a small fee for it, just to like cover the amount of work and promotion that I'm putting into it and my website and everything. But I'm gonna keep like just pushing this directory as much as possible because I want all of these other entrepreneurs to get jobs and get work and get their message out there. And so many of them are
Yeah.
just so creative. And I definitely like the amount of artists out there right now just trying to build something to be able to sell their art and make a living off of something that they love. I want to help that so badly. And if I could buy all of their little products, I absolutely would. I would have like buckets full of stickers and all of these things at the moment, but I can't. So I've got my website and I want to share people and their businesses as much as possible.
But yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, I will definitely you'll have to send me stuff. I'll link
I
everything
will,
down
yeah, for
below.
sure.
So everybody definitely go check out Randy. You are on Instagram, you're on Threads. Where else can people find you? You have your blog,
Instagram
which of
and
course I'll
Threads are
link
the main
below.
right now. The blog, I have a newsletter as well, which you can find all of the links to on my blog, and I will send them to you as well. If you're looking for any resources, I have them all in the Chronically Cozy Creators Club on my site. And yeah, I have a YouTube channel as well. I am going to be putting more effort into it very soon. I swear.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will have to subscribe. Are you subscribed to the Talking Person
I am,
podcast?
yes, of
Okay,
course.
good. That would have been awkward. I have had guests who've
That
come
would
on.
be
I'll
hard.
ask them before the recording. I'm like, have you watched an episode? And I have had a couple people who are like, nope.
I did save it until like today to like look through because I was like, if I watch a bunch, like I was gonna watch a bunch when we planned this, and I was like, I'm just gonna forget
Mhm.
it all, and I just want to like, so I watched a bunch this morning and subscribed. And
Oh yeah, I'm
yeah,
so glad. I'm so glad. But yeah, if you are a listener and you've stuck around this long, I'll do my little self promo. I'm also bad at self promoing. I've only recently started telling people to please like, comment, subscribe. Randy, what would you like people to comment today in the comment section below?
I would love to hear what you're struggling with the most when it comes to being a chronically ill and neurodivergent business owner, because I want to know where to direct my efforts when I'm creating resources and putting information out there and writing blogs. What is holding you back from living your dreams?
Yeah, comment below if you're neurodivergent and or have chronic illness. Leave a comment below. Randy, you'll have to go and answer comments. I will
I know.
too. Am I forgetting anything else? Oh, subscribe. Please subscribe, guys. We just hit
Yes.
today. We made it over 20 subscribers on YouTube. So
Yay. That's so exciting.
uh,
Yes.
very exciting.
Hitting
We are
those
still very
subscriber
small.
marks is so exciting. It sounds silly to other people who don't do it, but when we hit it, when we're working at that, finding our
Yeah.
community means the most.
It really does, and I truly think quality over quantity. I know that
Yeah.
we'll with every new person, kind of everybody brings their little bubble of people to watch stuff, and I love growing
Yeah.
this community and having more people, um, like you come on. So Randy, thank you so
Yes.
much for being
Thank you
here. I
so
will
much for
drop
having
all of
me.
your links
Love
down
it.
below, so everybody
Thank
go
you.
follow Randy everywhere she is online. And yeah, I am Curly Swell. I'm a talking person, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.
Bye.